Hi, Shabbat Shalom. I'm Kate Rozanzky, and I'm the Maharat Intern at Ohev Shalom. Today I'm going to give you a quick video Devar Torah about Kohelet, about the book of Ecclesiastes. Usually we read the book of Ecclesiastes on Kol HaMoed Sukkot, but this year there is no Kol HaMoed Sukkot, so we are going to read it Sunday at Shimini Atzeret, which I think is really appropriate because there's nothing more Kohelet than completing this great big giant task of reading the entire Torah, and our reward for completing that great big giant task is to pull out Sefer Bereshit and start right over again. Very Kohelet. I love it. So I had a real Kohelet moment over first days of Sukkot. I was reading the book to prepare for the reading group that we did last night, which was really wonderful. And I thought what I had was this great chiddush, this new idea about the text, and I read it all around in the books that I had in my house to see if anyone else had talked about this, and no one had. And I was so excited, and I logged on right after Yontif, and I Googled it, and I was like, and somebody has written an entire book on this topic, and it just came out this year, which I'm so excited to share with you. So truly, ein chadash tachat hashemesh, nothing is new under the sun, but just because it's not new doesn't mean it's not interesting, right? So let's talk about it. So the book is called Kohelet, A Map to Eden by David Kerwin. And Kerwin's thesis is that Kohelet, who we traditionally identify with, Shlomo HaMelech. So the narrator of Kohelet identifies himself as the son of David and the king of Jerusalem. So we traditionally assume that Kohelet is another name for King Solomon that he's speaking. And Kerwin's thesis is that Kohelet identifies themselves very strongly, or is even imagining themselves as Adam Harishon, as Adam, the first human being. And and in doing this, he draws a lot of really interesting parallels between the book of Kohelet and Sefer Bereshit. So it sort of weaves the end of the Torah reading cycle into the beginning in this really compelling way. And he does this through all sorts of interesting linguistic parallels that you can find between Kohelet and Bereshit. In the way that Kohelet talks about building and creating things sort of mirrors the day of creation. There's some language about water and rivers and life that are very compelling, and also the way that Kohelet brings up Tov and Ra, good and bad, seem to parallel conversations around the knowledge of good and evil. And that's actually Kerwin's main thesis, is that Kohelet and Adam are both someone who were seekers of wisdom, right? And instead of the wisdom making them happy or more powerful, it made them aware of their mortality, or mortal in Adam Harishon's case, and that it was actually terrifying, that wisdom is not necessarily a source of joy, or it is both a source of joy and terror. And the most compelling part to me of this is that if Kohelet is Adam Harishon, right, then Kohelet's famous cry, Hevel, Hevelim, HaKol Hevel, is about not just Hevel, the idea of Hevel as breath, or ephemerality, or futility, but Hevel, the person of Adam's son Hevel, who was murdered by his brother Cain. And this adds, I think, a new layer to this cry that repeats itself throughout the book, that every passage about injustice, about mortality, resonates in this new and powerful, really touching way. But I kind of separate from Kerwin's reading, and I would say that there's actually a stronger case to be made that Kohelet, whether Kohelet is Shlomo HaMelech or someone else, is actually identifying more with Chava, with Eve, because Chava, and not Adam, is the one who is a seeker of wisdom in Bereshit. It says in Bereshit, "V'tera ha'isha ki tov ha'etz l'ma'achal v'ki ta'avahu le'enayim v'nechmad ha'etz lahaskel." The woman saw that the tree was good for eating and a delight to the eyes, and the tree was desirable as a source of wisdom. Okay, so that's why Chava is the one who is desiring wisdom, right? And Adam, he gets the apple because Chava gives it to him. So this is why my teacher Rana Berger actually calls Chava the first philosopher, because she's the first one to reach out and pursue and desire to be a lover of, right, of wisdom. And as for Hevelim, I think that could just as easily go in Chava's mouth as in Adam's, right? And then there's a stronger case to be made there too, because she's the only one we see in relationship with her children. She is the one who names Cain. She is the one who comments on, right, when she has a child later in life, she says, I'm going to name this child Shet because he was killed, because he is going to be my son after Havel, who was killed by my other son Cain. She's the only one who talks about it. So this connection of Havel, Havelim, is just as easily a Chava thing, but Chava is the one who desires and pursues wisdom. But you could also make the case on another foot, on another hand, on another hand, and another hand, that Kohelet is not Adam or Chava, but Cain. Because unlike Adam, Cain is the builder and the founder of the first city. And if you take, traditionally Shlomo HaMelech is Kohelet, then both Cain and Kohelet are also brother killers, right? Shlomo HaMelech has to kill his brother or have his brother put to death in order to secure his crown. That when you have here in the book of Kohelet, right, it's almost like a dialogue between Cain and Havel, his dead brother, that, look, Cain doesn't really deserve to be the inheritor of humanity. He is objectively wicked, and yet he's the one who gets to found cities. He lives a long time. He has all of these descendants, and like that sort of has a different resonance if you think about it as someone who is grappling with the guilt of what he's done. And it's very, you have this, and then you have Kohelet as the voice of someone who did all these wonderful things and says, look, I built so many amazing things, and all the good I did is just not, it doesn't matter because I am guilty, because I have not atoned for this horrible thing that I did. And it's very, for the Shakespeare fans out there, it's very King Claudius, right? Very the prayer in Henry V, right? Nothing good that I do with this crown that I seized is worth anything because of the way that I bloodied my hands to seize the crown. It's very, more will I do, but all that I can do is nothing worth, since it comes after all imploring pardon. So if you're interested in kind of Kohelet as a work of political thought, the idea of it is like the inner life of a tyrant, is fascinating and interesting. And you could even make the case, on the other hand, that Kohelet, the character in Bereshit, the voice that Kohelet identifies most with, is no human being, but in fact with Hashem, right? Kohelet is a creator who makes amazing things, beautiful, wonderful, powerful things, like Kohelet builds cities and vineyards, whatever Hashem made us, and is ultimately often extremely disappointed by what Hashem has created. And I don't know if you can take this so far, because obviously Kohelet is very aware that they are mortal, and Hashem is not. However, the tragedy here is that Kohelet is only made in the image of divinity, has all these godlike capabilities, and yet is actually not fully Hashem. So, as you're sitting and listening to Kohelet on Sunday, which is a very long reading, how lucky are we, you can ask yourself, who in Bereshit does Kohelet identify with? Is there anyone else in Tanakh who might have the same kinds of thoughts at the end of their life? Does it even have to be, Cain, Havel, Adam, Chava, Hashem, the snake? Who can say? Is there anyone else in Tanakh who might have the same thoughts at the end of their life? Isn't it great how the Torah is like this kaleidoscope where you shift your focus a little bit, and the text does not change, but what you bring to it, the interpretation, brings new depths to it, brings new things into focus that we might not have noticed before. So that's really changed, I think, how I think about Kohelet and what I'll be thinking about this Sunday. And I really look forward to laning and davening and celebrating with all of you this Shabbos and this Sunday of Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach Modim L'Simcha. And here we go.